Imagine you have $10,000 in your hand right now. You are feeling good. You decide to throw it all into the stock market because everyone is talking about the latest tech rally. But by Tuesday, the market corrects and your 10,000 is now worth 8,000. That stings, but you tell yourself you are a long-term investor. Then, on Wednesday, your transmission blows out. You need $4,000 for repairs immediately. You don't have the cash, so you have to sell your stocks at a loss to fix your car. You just turned a temporary paper loss into a permanent financial disaster. This happens every single day. People skip steps. They try to build the penthouse before they pour the foundation. If you get the order of operations wrong, even good investments can destroy your wealth. But if you get the sequence right, you build a fortress that almost nothing can knock down. Today, we are walking through the exact mathematical order you should deploy every single dollar you earn. I see it all the time in the comments. Someone asks if they should pay off a 5% car loan or buy Bitcoin. Or they are maxing out their 401k, but they have $15,000 in credit card debt sitting there burning a hole in their pocket. The financial world is full of noise, and it is easy to chase the highest potential return while ignoring the guaranteed risks staring you in the face. The strategy we are covering today isn't just my opinion. It is backed by decades of data and basic arithmetic. It is designed to maximize your tax breaks, minimize your interest payments, and keep you liquid when life throws a brick at your head. Before we start climbing this ladder, do me a favour. If you want to see more content that respects your intelligence and your wallet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It is the best return on investment you will get all day, because it costs you $0. Now, let's look at the absolute first step, which is where most people get bored and subsequently get broke. Step 1 is building your safety net. I know, you want to talk about compound interest and dividends. We will get there. But you cannot invest aggressively if you are terrified of your bank balance. Before you buy a single stock or pay down a dime of extra debt, you need a cash buffer. We call this the emergency fund. The goal here is to set aside 1 to 3 months of essential living expenses. This isn't money for a vacation or a new phone. This is money for when the roof leaks, or you break a tooth, or your hours get cut at work. Without this cash, a minor annoyance becomes a major crisis that forces you back into debt. Think of this money as insurance, not an investment. You are not trying to get rich on this money. You are buying the ability to sleep at night. If you skip this step and go straight to investing, you are building a house on sand. One storm, one job loss, and the whole thing washes away because you are forced to liquidate your assets at the worst possible time. Now, where do you actually put this money? A lot of people ask me if they should put their emergency fund into a conservative bond fund or a stable stock to beat inflation. The answer is a hard no. This money needs to be liquid. It needs to be there instantly, at its full value, the moment you need it. If the market crashes 30% and you lose your job on the same day, which often happens in a recession, you do not want your emergency fund to be down 30% too. Keep this cash in a high-yield savings account or a money market account. You want it FDIC insured. Yes, inflation might nibble at it slightly over time. But remember, the cost of inflation is the premium you pay for the insurance of having cash on hand. Aim for that 1 to 3 month range initially. Once we get further down the list, we will circle back and expand this to 6 months. But for now, get that cash buffer in place so you stop living on the edge of disaster. Pro tip here. Label the account Emergency in your banking app so you don't accidentally spend it on pizza. Step 2 involves looking at the red numbers in your life. We need to attack high-interest debt. I am talking about anything with an interest rate roughly above 6 or 7%. This usually means credit cards, payday loans, and some personal loans or private student loans. Here is the math that a lot of optimistic investors miss. The stock market, historically, returns about 7 to 10% a year on average. If you have a credit card charging you 20% interest, every dollar you use to pay that card off is a guaranteed, risk-free 20% return on your money. There is no investment in the world that guarantees you 20% without massive risk. Warren Buffett can't even promise you that. If you are investing in the market while holding credit card debt, you are effectively borrowing money at 20% to try and earn 10%. That is a losing game. You are swimming upstream against a waterfall. You need to stop the bleeding before you try to grow the muscle. So how do you tackle this debt? You have two main psychological approaches. The first is the Avalanche method. This is the mathematically correct way. You list your debts from highest interest rate to lowest interest rate. You pay minimums on everything and throw every extra dollar at the one with the highest rate. This saves you the most money over time. However, humans are not calculators. We are emotional creatures. That is where the Snowball method comes in. You list debts from smallest balance to largest balance, ignoring the interest rate. You knock out the small ones first. The psychological win of seeing a debt disappear completely gives you the momentum to attack the bigger ones. I don't care which one you choose, as long as you choose one. The only exception here is low-interest debt, like a mortgage at 3 or 4%. Don't rush to pay that off yet. We can beat that rate in the market. But if it is high interest, it has to go. It is an emergency. Treat it like one. Now that the bleeding has stopped, we arrive at step 3. And this is my favourite step because it involves literally free money. If your employer offers a retirement plan like a 401k and provides a match, you need to grab that immediately. Typically, a company might say they will match 50% of your contributions, up to 6% of your salary. Or sometimes they match dollar for dollar. Let's look at the numbers. If you put in $1 and your boss puts in $1, you just made a 100% return on your investment instantly. Before the money is even invested in a stock or bond, you have doubled it. There is nothing in the financial markets that competes with this. If you are skipping the employer match to pay down low-interest debt or to pick your own stocks, you are walking past $100 bills on the sidewalk. It is part of your compensation package. If you don't take it, you are voluntarily taking a pay cut. A quick clarification here. I am not saying you should max out your 401k completely at this stage. I am saying you should contribute exactly enough to get the full match. If they match up to 5% of your salary, you contribute 5%. No more, no less. Why stop there? Because often employer plans have limited investment options or high fees. Once we grab the free money, we usually have better places to put the rest of our cash, which we will get to in a minute. But securing that match is non-negotiable. It is the bedrock of wealth accumulation for employees. If you are self-employed, obviously this doesn't apply to you in the same way. But you should be looking into a SEP IRA or a solo 401k to manufacture your own tax advantages. But for the employees out there, go check your HR portal today. Make sure you aren't leaving free money behind. Step 4 is where we start playing defense against your biggest lifetime expense: taxes. You have grabbed the match. Now we look at your personal retirement accounts, specifically IRAs and Roth IRAs. The government gives you special accounts that shelter your money from taxes, and maximizing these is usually better than a standard brokerage account. You have two flavors here. The traditional IRA gives you a tax break today. You put money in, and it lowers your taxable income for this year. The money grows tax deferred until you retire. Then you have the Roth IRA. You pay taxes on the money now, but it grows tax-free forever. When you pull it out in retirement, the government doesn't touch a dime of the growth. Think about that. If you invest $10,000 and it grows to $100,000 over 30 years, in a Roth IRA, that $90,000 of profit is 100% yours. In a regular account, you'd be splitting that profit with the IRS. So which one do you choose? Generally, if you expect your income to be higher in retirement than it is now, or if you just want to eliminate the uncertainty of future tax rates, the Roth IRA is a powerhouse. There are income limits to contribute directly, but there are ways around that called the backdoor Roth, if you are a high earner. The goal in Step 4 is to max out these tax-advantaged accounts up to the annual limit. Why here? Why not just put more in the 401k? Because usually an IRA gives you total freedom. You can buy almost any stock, ETF, or fund you want, often with lower fees than your workplace plan. You have control. So, the sequence so far: safety net, kill high-interest debt, get the employer match, then max out your Roth or traditional IRA. If you have done all that and still have cash left over, you are doing better than 90% of the population. Step 5 is a specialized tool that I honestly think is the most underrated investment vehicle in existence, if you have access to it. I'm talking about the HSA, or Health Savings Account. To get one, you usually need a high-deductible health plan. If you are relatively healthy, this account is a financial superpower. It is the only account with a triple tax advantage. 1. The money goes in tax-free, lowering your income taxes. 2. If you invest the funds inside the HSA, the growth is tax-free. And 3. If you spend the money on qualified medical expenses, the withdrawal is tax-free. No other account does all three. A lot of smart investors treat the HSA like a super retirement account. They pay for their medical expenses out of pocket today, let the HSA investments grow for 20 or 30 years, and then reimburse themselves tax-free later in life. It is effectively an extra IRA with medical benefits attached. If you have an FSA, or flexible spending account, that is different. Those are usually use it or lose it, but the HSA is yours forever. Max this out if you can. Now we enter the grey area. Step 6. You have your safety net, your high interest debt is gone, and you are utilising your tax shelters. What about that student loan at 4%? Or the car note at 3%? Or the extra mortgage payments? This is where math meets psychology again. Mathematically, if your debt costs you 4% interest and the market returns 8%, you should not pay off the debt. You should invest the difference and keep the arbitrage. You get richer by holding the debt. However, debt equals risk. Debt requires cash flow every month. If you lose your income, that debt becomes a problem, regardless of the interest rate. So, some people prefer to aggressively pay down all debt here before going heavy into taxable investing. There is no wrong answer, just a preference. Personally, I like a balance. I don't hate low-interest debt, but I don't love it either. Step 6 is essentially a fork in the road. You can top up your emergency fund to 6 months, pay down that annoying student loan, or start pushing more money into investments. Just make sure you are doing it consciously. Step 7 is where the real wealth building happens. We are moving into broad-based investing. At this point, you have filled up your tax advantage buckets, or maybe you are splitting your contributions. Now we need a strategy for the actual investments. And the strategy is simple. Don't be a hero. Most professional fund managers cannot beat the market consistently over a 10-year period. So what makes you think you can do it by picking stocks in your spare time? The smartest move for Step 7 is buying low-cost, broad market index funds, or ETFs. Think S&P 500 or a total world stock market fund. You are buying a tiny slice of the entire global economy. When companies grow, you grow. When they pay dividends, you get paid. You aren't betting on one horse, you are owning the racetrack. This minimizes the risk of a single company going bust and wiping you out. It is boring. It is not sexy cocktail party conversation. But it is how millions of people quietly become millionaires. The method here is just as important as the asset. You want to use something called dollar cost averaging. That just means you invest the same amount of money on a regular schedule, regardless of what the market is doing. If the market is up, you buy less shares. If the market crashes, your dollars buy more shares at a discount. You are effectively rooting for the market to go down while you are in the accumulation phase, because stocks are on sale. This removes the emotion. You don't have to guess if it is the top or the bottom. You just keep buying. Over 20 or 30 years, that consistency matters more than perfect timing. So, step 7 is setting up that automatic transfer into a brokerage account, or finishing off your 401k limits, dumping it into cheap index funds, and letting time do the heavy lifting. Step 8 is optional, but I know some of you have an itch to scratch. This is the individual stock picking step. If you really want to try to pick the next Amazon or Tesla, do it here. But, and this is a massive disclaimer, keep this to a small portion of your portfolio. I recommend no more than 5 to 10% of your total investable net worth. This protects you from yourself. If you pick a winner and it goes to the moon, great, you make some nice bonus money. But if you pick a loser and it goes to zero, which happens often with individual stocks, it doesn't derail your retirement. It stings, but it doesn't kill you because 90% of your money is still safe in those boring index funds we talked about. Treat this account like tuition. You are paying to learn how markets work. If you make money, wonderful. If you lose it, consider it the cost of education. Step 9 involves real estate. Now, owning your own home is one thing. That is partly an investment and partly a lifestyle cost. But investing in rental properties is a whole different beast. It provides diversification, cash flow, and tax benefits. However, it is not passive. A blocked toilet at 2 a.m. is not passive. Dealing with tenants and repairs is a part-time job. If you want exposure to real estate without the headaches, look at REITs, real estate investment trusts. These are companies that own real estate, shopping malls, apartments, data centres, and trade like stocks. By law, they have to pay out most of their taxable income to shareholders as dividends. It is a great way to add real estate to your portfolio in Step 9 without ever having to buy a hammer. Real estate usually comes after you have built a solid liquid portfolio, because real estate is illiquid. You can't sell a bathroom to buy groceries. So make sure your foundation is rock solid before you start buying investment properties. Step 10 is the final frontier. Alternative investments. We are talking crypto, gold, venture capital, angel investing, maybe collectible art. This is the top of the pyramid. It is the most speculative and the most risky. It belongs at the very end of your journey, not the beginning. Too many people start here because they see a headline about a kid becoming a crypto billionaire. But for every one of those, there are thousands of people who lost everything. Keep this bucket very small, maybe 1 to 5% of your net worth. It is the lottery ticket bucket. If it goes to zero, your life doesn't change. If it goes 100x, you retire early. But never sacrifice your safety net or your retirement contributions to fund this bucket. So there you have it, the smart money order of operations. Step 11, the final unwritten step, is simply to review and rebalance. Once a year, take a look at your pile of money. If your stocks have gone up way more than your bonds or international funds, sell a little of the winner and buy the loser to get back to your target allocation. This forces you to sell high and buy low automatically. Life changes. You get married, have kids, change jobs. The plan needs to breathe. But the core principles remain the same. Safety first, high interest debt second, free money third, tax advantages fourth, and broad investing fifth. If you stick to this script, you remove 90% of the anxiety around money. You stop wondering if you are doing the right thing, because you are following a proven path. I'd love to hear in the comments which step you are currently tackling. Are you crushing the debt or building the safety net? Let me know. If this breakdown helped you clarify your financial roadmap, do me a favour and hit the like button. It helps get this information to people who are probably about to blow their savings on a speculative coin instead of paying off their credit cards. We need to save them. If you want to dive deeper into exactly how index funds work, or how to set up that Roth IRA, check out the videos popping up on the screen right now. I have done deep dives on both. Thanks for watching, keep building that foundation, and I will see you in the next one.